What the tour bus brings when it rolls into your town is excitement. And excitement is what people need to break up the monotony of their everyday lives. Now, it's very easy, if you were a single man on the road, it's very easy to, if you're touring and you're playing, whether it's clubs or festivals or, arenas or football stadiums or, the local VFW, it's very easy to get a date. The thing is, people live very mundane lives. You could, see the prettiest girl you've ever seen in your life in some little small town. And she lives a little boring life working, in the local, insurance office or, maybe at the Piggly Wiggly or, any number of things. Or maybe she just lives at home and takes care of her parents. These people want excitement in their lives. And that golden chariot rolls into town with that big star on it. Now, the big star is probably married, probably has a girlfriend or fiance or something like that. But that tour bus rolls into town, and that sex appeal of that artist, that draws in people who are drawn to that flame, that moth to the flame of fame. And what these people want, what these girls want, or what these guys want, or whoever your audience draws, what they want is excitement. They think they can go out into that crowd. They think they can get all dolled up and go to that show. And you'll notice them and say, come with me, come with me. Now, back in the 80s, 70s, that could very well happen. But it doesn't mean that you'd be getting married and living happily ever after. It might be just a fleeting fling, somewhere in Omaha, Nebraska. It might mean, a dalliance with a rock star for the evening or for the hour. There's a Scorpion song, tease me, please me, before I have to go. And we were sitting in the green room one day and we were talking about the Scorpions for some reason. And someone said, my friend Eric said, man, that song is just so terrible. It's just terrible. And I'm like, yeah, essentially he's like, tease me and please me because I'm about to get on the tour bus and I gotta go. And, it's so ridiculous, but it's so very accurate. Musicians in a touring situation, you're living in a hyped up adulation, hyped up world of adulation. And you're going out there and you're putting on your tight pants and you're going out there and you're getting the crowd all worked up and all that. Sometimes you get worked up in the process. Sometimes maybe that front row of the audience is teasing you, the entire show and girls are making seductive faces at you and maybe whispering things to you or yelling out things to you. And that is all reality. That is all the reality of the moment and what you're doing, because what you represent is that golden chariot, that hero on a white horse that rides into town and swoops you away. And that's part of the fantasy that the audience, the audience members and the women in the crowd, they buy into it. And they think if I just wear the perfect outfit, he's going to think I look so cute and all that. And meanwhile, you get to the show and you realize your seats are so far back that he can't see you. The reality is, at an arena show, you can only see about 3 or 4 rows back, and the rest is just, they're there, but you can't really see them. Now, back in the 80s, bands like Van Halen, they would provide incentives for road crew members. You get $100 at the end of the night if you find my date for the evening. And so each guy would get a stack of passes to go out through the crowd and hand out to the girls, and they'd say no boyfriends. And they would get the women and they would put their name on each backstage pass, so the artist would know that, oh, Ted sent you back. Oh, okay. Oh, nice to meet you. And if that girl had a dalliance with the Rockstar, then they would be given $100 to each crew guy that did that. And that's that kind of behavior I don't think goes on anymore. There's just too many risks. There's too many potentials for lawsuits, paternity suits, all of that. And but that golden chariot, that man on that white horse is still out there, playing that concert trail. And girls still have that fantasy. And I met my wife on the road. That's just reality, And but I met her on the road, but it wasn't till a couple of years later. We had just stayed in touch. It wasn't like a on the road dalliance. I didn't even. It was just friended on Facebook, and see ya. It wasn't any like wild story of, let's go backstage, and it wasn't anything like that. It was, oh, hey, how you doing? Let's hang out, have a drink, and I'll friend you on Facebook. Bye. And but several years later, she would come to Nashville, and she'd say, hey, I'm in town. And then I'd never hear back. She'd go out and have a great time. But eventually we started talking. And that's where we made a connection by talking and texting back and forth and talking on the phone. And that's when we realized we had something in common. But it is not uncommon for women to, I've heard stories of other sidemen with other artists who would get extremely upset with themselves if they didn't meet a girl every night, if they didn't, have a dalliance with a, local beauty queen. And, then there were those that I knew that would go play an arena show. And instead of walking out in the crowd and meeting some people and maybe meeting somebody, they would sit on the bus and swipe on Tinder. So, in other words, they had no personality, and they were unable to actually go out there and go, hey, guys, how you guys doing? You guys want to go have a beer? I mean, that's really how simple it is. You just have to have, the slightest bit of personality to go out there and go, look, I think the honorable way to do it is say, look, guys, I'm not looking for any kind of relationship or to do anything, but we travel with these guys all the time, and frankly, we're kind of sick of each other, and it would be cool if you guys want to just come hang out and have a beer and hang out with us for a little bit. That would be cool. And that's how I would approach it. But there are those that, that's not their interest at all. And, there are girls that are waiting for that golden chariot, that tour bus to roll up and bring some excitement in their lives. And, I've been that guy too. I've been that guy that, swooped in and, all of a sudden, and, you try to maybe have a relationship, or maybe you just try to have a little romance that night. And maybe you stay in touch, and maybe you come back to that town, and, but you're providing excitement to these people because they don't. The average person doesn't get to come to Nashville. Some people never get to leave their hometown. And then maybe they meet a musician on the road and he says, hey, why don't you come visit? We had such a great time, or I really like talking to you, or, I think you're really attractive, and, why don't you come visit me? I got a house, and, and all this. And maybe that's a start of a relationship. I'm sure there's been plenty of musicians, that's where they met their wife, because, if you don't have time to go to the local swap meet or church and meet a nice girl. Let's be realistic. We don't. As musicians, our lives are boom, boom, boom. Go here, go there. Now go here, now go there. And if you're a touring musician, that's probably where you are going to meet your girlfriend, and that's where you're going to meet your wife. And you are that guy on that white chariot. The reality is, though, they might not be ready to deal with the reality of dating a musician. And that reality is, they might come and move in and live with you, but, from Wednesday to Sunday, afternoon, you're gone. And that is a very difficult thing, to deal with. Now, my wife does not have to deal with that now. And she never had to deal with it because I was off the road when we started our relationship. So I would only have to go leave the house for a few hours, every weekend, a couple nights a week, 2-3 nights a week. And I'd be home by midnight usually. I didn't take bar gigs where I'd have to play till 2 a.m. I did a little bit when we first started dating, but she never had the experience like me getting on the bus and going out to BFE, in the middle of nowhere, and not having cell service, and, telling her, hey, we're going to this remote city. I might not be able to get in touch with you. I might have to use the bus Wi-Fi and send a message on Facebook, but communication can be a problem. Staying in touch with your loved ones at home can be a serious problem. And if they are, weak of mind and your relationship is not really stable, that could be something that could really destroy your relationship. Because, the reality is, if you get in a huge fight with your girlfriend and you go out on the road and you've had a few beers and there's girls all over the place, temptation is there. Temptation is there. So it is not a place that is good for a committed relationship, or someone that, is in a relationship that is not stable, that is not rock solid, and that person provides support for you and is confident in themselves that they don't have to worry about you on the road. But if you're with someone that's constantly fighting with you and constantly giving you grief right before you go on the tour bus, man, you're going to get on that bus and hope that you meet somebody else, because they're just making your life miserable. But every girl dreams of that man that on that white horse that rides into town and all of a sudden brings you into a world of excitement. But it's not always everything it's made out to be.